I'm Randy Ferguson. Welcome to the Love, Courage, and Achievement Project. We just call it the LCA. Let's take a look at this thing called hurt. You know, most of us have had the experience of being deeply in love, and at some point it didn't work out and we felt this just searing hurt inside. And often we've made the decision that the enemy is love itself. And I want to challenge that and consider the possibility that maybe the problem isn't love, maybe the problem is how we relate to hurt. If you take a look, in our culture, we've been taught the exact opposite of what it takes to heal hurt. And here's the example. What were some of the things that you were told when you were growing up, where you learned that it is absolutely not okay for you to experience hurt when you're hurt? When I share this in audiences, often I'll hear things like, grow up, be a man, be strong, what's the matter with you? You want to cry? I'll give you something to cry about. And so there's this litany of messages that we're sent where it is absolutely not okay for you to experience your hurt when that hurt is inside. Now, watch this. If you can't experience your hurt when you're hurt, where does that hurt go? What happens? You stuff that hurt. And it goes inside, and then the next hurt happens, and that goes inside, and the next hurt happens, and that goes inside. And watch this. This is key. That if you can't experience your hurt when you're hurt, if you can't process it, then hurt becomes something to be very afraid of. You have to be hyper vigilant that you don't do anything, that you have tremendous protection up so that you don't experience hurt. And, you know, you take a look out there, there's a lot of people with a lot of protection. And I don't mean positive protection. I mean these walls are up. It's kind of like, I mean, who do you know who's got great, big, thick walls where it's almost impossible to get through to their heart? It's so many of us. You know, I live in Denver, and I sometimes challenge people, my goodness, when was the last time that you were downtown on a Monday morning and you saw people skipping to work? And it's not just that we have grown up, that we've matured. It's more that we have stifled our self-expression out of our fear of what other people think, out of our fear of getting hurt. Interesting statistics on how people are dealing with hurt. According to Harvard Health, the federal government's health statisticians figure that about 1 in every 10 Americans, that's over 32 million people, folks, are on some form of antidepressant. That is the third most common prescription prescribed in this nation. They go on to say that 23% of women in their 40s and 50s take antidepressants. It's a higher percentage than in any other category, and that women are 2.5 times more likely to be taking antidepressants than men. So that tells me, of course, there's some physiological causes for that. But when you take a look at those numbers, how much of that depression is really about people not being able to experience their hurt effectively? If you knew that you had a tool that really worked, where if you ever got hurt, you could let that hurt come and let that hurt go, just like a little kid. If you knew that if you ever got hurt, you could let it come and let it go, and that you could do this in minutes instead of years or never, what difference would that make in your quality of life? What impact would it make in how you move forward, how you express yourself in the world? Wouldn't it be huge? Well, there is a process. Now, before I share this with you, I want to challenge you. See, are you willing to do something radically different than what you've been taught if it works? So here's what it is. If you want to learn something doesn't it make sense to go to somebody who's really already mastered that skill? So you can learn from them so much more quickly. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Well, what is that segment of our population of people who are joyful and spontaneous and just alive and vibrant and playing and resilient? If you take a look, it's little kids, little tiny kids. See, let's learn from them. What do little tiny kids do when they get hurt? That's right. They cry. And do they cry halfway? No. You never see a 3-year-old dabbing at their eyes. No, they don't do that. When little kids cry, it's wah! And their whole body is shaking and ah! And they let it go like the world was ending. They give it everything they've got. And when they cry the last tear, then what do? That's right. They go on playing. They go on with their life. Consider the possibility that little kids do what's natural until we teach them what's normal. Well, how can we learn from them? Let me tell you a little bit about my brother Bill. As you may know, he does this work in Houston. Bill, a former divorce attorney, former captain in the U.S. Marine Corps, former judge in the U.S. Marine Corps, black belt in karate, he's not somebody you push around. Can you guess what Bill does when he gets hurt? That's right. He goes into his office, he closes the door, he creates a safe space. He sits down at his desk and he recalls what happened. You know, maybe his wife said something or, you know, had a tough conversation on a phone call. Whatever it is, we're going to get hurt. What he does is he sits down at his desk and he deliberately goes after the hurt. We've got a whole culture that avoids hurt like crazy. You know, we find the addiction du jour, but we sure don't go after the hurt. Well, he does the exact opposite. He goes after it. He recalls what happened. And he does this exercise. I'm going to share it with you right now. And what it is what the body does to release hurt. It's a deep breath in and then rapid breaths out. Looks like this. What is that? Yeah, it's crying. It's what your body does to release hurt. Your body doesn't want the hurt. Have you ever been in a theater and maybe there's a really touching scene and you can viscerally feel that hurt coming up to be released. The body's trying to let it go, but then what we do is, boy, do we shove it right back down, and we're in a place that's totally dark and people couldn't care less anyway. It's what we do. Well, consider the possibility. Watch this. If you had a tool where you could release it, like I'm describing, and you knew that if you ever got hurt, you could let that hurt come and let that hurt go in minutes instead of years or never, what difference would that make in your quality of life? How big would that be? When we have people who've been practicing this for a period of time, here's how it shows up. They're more joyful. They go for it in their life. Because what's the worst that can happen when you go for it? You're going to get hurt. Well, you're going to get hurt anyway. You turn off this video, you go out in life, you're going to get hurt. The question isn't whether or not you're going to get hurt. The question is, how are you going to relate to your hurt? Are you going to relate to your hurt in a way where it accumulates, or are you going to relate to your hurt in a way where it just comes and goes? You know, Shrek says, better out than in, right? Pardon my grossness, but it's really true. You don't have to hang on to it. Let it go, let it go, let it go. In our longer version video, I'm going to take you through a process where if you've been hurt in the past, and we all have, you can be taken step by step by step through a process where you release that hurt, and more importantly, you will know that if you ever get hurt, you will have this tool to access for the rest of your life. And if you want to, go ahead and subscribe, be a member, And then you're going to have access not only to all the short videos, but all the longer versions as well. And if you're really one of those people who's serious about creating a major breakthrough in your life, then schedule your one-on-one breakthrough session with one of our LCA consultants. These people are so heart-centered, but they're also so competent. And what will happen in that short time together is you're going to see a strategy. You're going to see a very specific set of steps that you can take to create major freedom in your life. And we don't even charge for it. So call the number below if you're interested in that. So I want to thank you for taking a little bit of time with me today, for exploring something that's pretty radical, but is also very effective. Thank you. God bless. See you soon. Bye-bye.